The scream tore through the afternoon air like shattered glass. Emma Rodriguez's head snapped up from the stack of papers in her lap, her heart already racing before her mind could catch up. The playground at Riverside Elementary blurred around her as she searched for him. For Jaime, for her 5-year-old son who had been climbing the jungle gym just seconds ago. Then she saw him, motionless, crumpled at the bottom of the red plastic slide. His small body twisted in a way that made her stomach drop. Jaime! The papers scattered like dead leaves as Emma ran. Her sandals slipped on wood chips, her breath came in sharp gasps. And the world narrowed to that small figure who wasn't moving, who wasn't crying, who was just lying there. Other parents gathered around, their faces showing that terrible mix of concern and relief. Relief that it wasn't their child lying broken on the ground. When Emma reached him, Jaime was crying. Conscious, thank God, but crying in a way that made her nursing training kick in, even as her mother's heart shattered. His left arm bent wrong, so wrong. "Mommy, it hurts." His voice was small, lost, terrified. His brown eyes were wide and wet, searching her face for answers she didn't have. Emma knelt beside him, forcing her hands to stay steady, forcing her voice to stay calm. "I know, baby. Mommy's here. We're going to get you help right now. I'll drive you." Mrs. Patterson appeared beside them, keys already in hand. "My car is right here." Emma scooped Jaime into her arms, and he buried his face in her shoulder, his warm breath against her neck, his small whimpers cutting through her like knives. In the car, she held him close, stroking his dark hair, whispering promises she prayed she could keep. "The doctors are going to fix you up, sweetheart. You're going to be just like new." But as Riverside General Hospital came into view, Emma felt something cold spread through her chest. She hadn't been inside this building since Jaime was born. Since the night her life had split in two, before and after. Since the night she had made a choice that still haunted her dreams. Too many ghosts lived in these walls. The pediatric emergency department smelled of antiseptic and fear. Children cried, parents whispered, monitors beeped in steady rhythms that Emma remembered from another lifetime. When she had been a nursing student with different dreams. "The doctor will be right in," the nurse said after fast-tracking them to a treatment room. Emma sat beside the examination table, holding Jaime's good hand, studying his face. So much of herself in his features, but also traces of someone else. Someone she had loved so completely it had nearly destroyed her. Someone whose face she saw every time she looked at her son. Footsteps approached outside the curtain. Emma looked up, expecting an older physician. Someone who didn't know her. Someone who could just fix her son's arm and let them disappear back into their carefully constructed life. The curtain pulled back. Time stopped. Dr. Nathan Cross stood in the doorway, reading from a clipboard, his dark hair slightly mussed from a long shift. He wore a white coat over scrubs, a stethoscope draped around his neck. And when he looked up and saw Emma, the clipboard slipped from his fingers and clattered to the floor. Emma. Her name was barely a whisper on his lips, but it hit her like a physical blow. 6 years. 6 years since she had last heard him say her name. He looked older, more solid, with fine lines around his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and heavy decisions. But those green eyes were exactly the same. Eyes that had once looked at her with such love, such hope, such promises of forever. "Hello, Nathan?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Jaime looked between them, confused by the tension crackling in the air like electricity before a storm. "Mommy, is this the doctor who's going to fix my arm?" Nathan's gaze shifted to Jaime for the first time, and Emma watched the exact moment recognition flickered across his face. The same stubborn chin, the same thick eyelashes, the same way of tilting his head when he was curious. The same face Nathan saw in the mirror every morning. "Yes, sweetheart." Emma forced the words out through a throat that felt like it was closing. "This is Dr. Cross. He's going to take very good care of you." Nathan stared at Jaime for 3 heartbeats. 4, 5. Then he bent down, picked up the clipboard with hands that trembled just slightly. And when he looked at Emma again, there was something raw and terrible in his eyes. A question. An accusation. A wound ripping open after 6 years of trying to heal. "Hello there, Jaime," Nathan said, his voice taking on that careful, professional tone. Emma remembered from his medical school rotations. Can you tell me what happened? As Jaime launched into an animated explanation about being a superhero.
Jaime watched Nathan
Examine her son with gentle, practiced hands. She watched him ask questions, make jokes, ease Jaime's fear with the natural skill of someone born to heal children. And she watched the moment Nathan's hand stilled on Jaime's arm. The moment his eyes flicked to Emma with a look that made her blood run cold. He knew, or at least he suspected. We need X-rays, Nathan said quietly. A technician will take him. It'll just be a few minutes. The technician arrived and wheeled Jaime away. Emma started to follow, but Nathan's hand caught her arm. His touch burned through her sleeve. Emma, we need to talk. Nathan, I can't. Not right now. My son is hurt and I need to be with him. Your son. Nathan's voice was soft, dangerous. How old is he, Emma? She couldn't look at him. 5. 5. He repeated the word like he was testing its weight. And his birthday? Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. Nathan, please. His birthday, Emma. March 15th. The silence that followed was deafening. March 15th. Nathan's voice cracked. 9 months after we broke up. 9 months after you disappeared without a word. 9 months after you told me you never wanted to see me again. Emma finally met his eyes, and what she saw there nearly broke her. How long were you going to keep this from me? Before Emma could answer, the technician's voice called down the hallway. Dr. Cross, we're ready for you to look at the X-rays. Nathan held Emma's gaze for one more agonizing moment, then turned and walked away, his shoulders rigid with barely controlled emotion. Emma leaned against the wall, her hands shaking, her breath coming in short gasps. 6 years of running. 6 years of hiding. 6 years of telling herself she had made the right choice. And in one afternoon, it had all come crashing down. She closed her eyes and saw Nathan's face again. The shock, the betrayal, the pain. But beneath it all, something else. Something that looked like hope. And that terrified her most of all. The X-ray films glowed against the light board, showing 2 clean breaks in Jaime's forearm. Nathan stared at them, his professional mask firmly in place. But Emma could see the tension in his jaw. The way his fingers gripped the edge of the counter just a little too hard. Both radius and ulna, he said without looking at her. Common childhood injury. 6 weeks in a cast, and he'll heal completely. Thank you. Emma's voice was barely audible. Nathan finally turned to face her, and the raw emotion in his eyes made her want to run. Made her want to explain. Made her want to do both at once. I need to talk, Emma. Really talk. Not here, not now, but soon. I know. Do you? His voice was low, controlled, but she heard the anger underneath. The hurt. Because 6 years ago, you walked away without an explanation. You told me we were done, and then you vanished. And now I find out you were pregnant with my child. Nathan, please. Emma glanced toward the examination room where Jaime waited. Not here. He ran his hand through his hair, that old nervous gesture that made her heart clench. Fine. But this conversation is happening, Emma. You owe me that much. Back in the treatment room, Nathan transformed. The wounded ex-lover disappeared, placed by the skilled pediatric doctor who explained everything to Jaime with patience and warmth. He showed him the X-ray images, answered every question, and made the prospect of a blue cast sound like an adventure instead of an ordeal. Emma watched them together, and her heart broke a little more with each shared laugh, each moment of easy connection. Jaime responded to Nathan in a way he never had with other men. Some instinctive recognition of a bond he couldn't name. The casting process took 30 minutes. Nathan worked carefully, wrapping Jaime's arm in layers of cotton padding. Then, applying the fiberglass that would harden into a protective shell, he let Jaime choose between 3 shades of blue, and her son picked the darkest one. Declaring it looked the most like Superman's cape. "You're very brave." Jaime, Nathan said, as he smoothed the final layer. "Not many kids stay this calm. My mom says I'm brave like her." Jaime beamed with pride. "She says we're a team, and we can handle anything together." Something flickered across Nathan's face. Pain, maybe, or longing. "Your mom is right. You're lucky to have her. She's the best mom in the whole world, Jaime said with the absolute certainty only a 5-year-old could possess. It's just me and her. We don't need anybody else. Emma saw Nathan's hands still for just a fraction of a second before he continued working. The words hung in the air between them, innocent from Jaime's mouth, but heavy with meaning. Just me and her. We don't need anybody else. All the choices Emma had made, all the reasons she had walked away, crystallized in that moment. She had built a life for herself and her son. A safe life. A predictable life. A life where she was in control. But looking at Nathan's face as he finished Jaime's cast, she wondered for the first time if she had built a prison instead. All done, Nathan announced, helping Jaime sit up. Keep it dry. Don't stick anything down inside it. And come back in 6 weeks so we can take it off. Can you take it off? Jaime asked hopefully. I like you. You're nice. Nathan's smile was gentle but sad. We'll see, buddy. Sometimes other doctors handle the follow-ups. I hope it's you, Jaime said, with the brutal honesty of childhood. Nathan glanced at Emma, and the question in his eyes was clear. Will I see him again? Will you let me? We'll make the follow-up appointment at the desk, Emma said. Not quite answering, Nathan pulled out a prescription pad and scrawled something, then handed it to Emma. Their fingers brushed, and the contact sent electricity up her arm. Pain medication, if he needs it. Instructions for care, and my cell number. Emma's eyes flew to his face, in case there were any complications, he added, but they both knew that wasn't the only reason. Or if you need to talk. About anything. Emma nodded, unable to speak around the lump in her throat. Nathan crouched down to Jaime's level one last time. Take care of that arm, Superman. And take care of your mom. She looks like she could use a hug. I give the best hugs, Jaime announced. Then wrapped his good arm around Emma's waist to demonstrate. Nathan watched them for a moment, something raw and hungry in his expression, then stood and left without another word. The drive home was quiet, except for Jaime's chatter about his blue cast and the nice doctor who said he was brave. Emma made appropriate noises, but her mind was elsewhere, replaying every moment, every look, every word Nathan hadn't said. That night, after Jaime finally fell asleep, his casted arm propped on a pillow, Emma sat alone in her small kitchen and unfolded the prescription paper Nathan had given her. At the bottom, below the medical instructions, he had written, I never stopped looking for you. I never stopped wondering why. You owe me the truth, Emma. Please. And below that, his phone number. Emma stared at the words until they blurred. She thought about 6 years ago, about the choice she had made, about the secret she had kept. She thought about the look on Nathan's face when he realized Jaime was his son. She thought about all the things she had told herself to justify her silence. Her phone sat on the table, dark and silent. One call. That's all it would take. One call and everything would change, or she could do nothing. She could disappear again, move to another city, start over somewhere Nathan would never find them. She had done it once before. She could do it again. Emma picked up her phone. Her finger hovered over the keyboard, and then she saw it. A text message from an unknown number sent just minutes ago. Emma, it's Nathan. I know you're scared. I know you had reasons for leaving. But that little boy in there deserves to know his father. And I deserve the chance to know my son. Please don't run again. Please. Emma's hand shook as she read the message once. Twice, 3 times. She started to type a response, then deleted it. Started again, deleted again. Finally, she wrote, My address is 247 Oak Street. Tomorrow night at 7? Jaime goes to bed at 8. We can talk then. She hit send before she could change her mind. The reply came almost instantly. I'll be there. Emma set down her phone and buried her face in her hands. Tomorrow night, she would have to explain the unexplainable. She would have to tell Nathan why she had walked away when she found out she was pregnant, why she had hidden his son for 5 years, why she had built a life that deliberately excluded him. She would have to tell him. about the night his mother came to see her at the clinic, about the envelope of money, about the words that had destroyed everything. Emma thought she knew about Nathan and their future. Together, she would have to tell him about the betrayal that had sent her running, and she would have to watch his face when he learned the truth. Tomorrow night, everything would change. Emma just hoped they would both survive it. Nathan arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. Emma watched through the window as he sat in his car for a full minute, hands gripping the steering wheel, gathering courage. She understood the feeling. She had been gathering courage all day. When she opened the door, they stood facing each other like strangers, like two people who had once known every inch of each other's souls and now couldn't remember how to say hello. "Come in," Emma said finally. Nathan stepped inside, his eyes immediately scanning the small living room, taking in the toys in the corner, the photos on the wall, the evidence of a life he had missed entirely. "He's asleep?" Nathan asked, his voice rough. "Just fell asleep about 20 minutes ago. He wanted to stay up to show you his cast again, but the pain medication made him drowsy." Nathan's jaw tightened. "He wanted to see me?" "He hasn't stopped talking about the nice doctor all day." They stood in awkward silence until Emma gestured toward the couch. "Sit, please. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water?" The truth. Nathan sat down but remained perched on the edge, tension radiating from every line of his body. "That's what I need, Emma. Just the truth." Emma sank into the chair across from him, suddenly exhausted. She had rehearsed this conversation 1,000 times in her head, but now that the moment was here, all her carefully prepared words dissolved. "I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after we broke up," she began, her voice steady despite the way her hands trembled in her lap. "I was terrified. We had just ended things. You were about to leave for medical school in Boston, and I was supposed to start my nursing program. Everything was falling apart. You could have told me." Nathan's voice cracked. "Emma, you could have called me. I would have come back. I would have done anything, I know." Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I know you would have. That's what made it so hard. Then why?" The pain in his voice cut through her. "Why did you keep him from me? Why did you disappear?" Emma took a deep breath. This was the part she had been dreading. The part that would change everything. "Your mother came to see me." Nathan went very still. "What?" 3 days after I found out I was pregnant, your mother showed up at the clinic where I was working. She said she needed to talk to me. So we went to a coffee shop, and she told me things. Things about you. Things about your family. Things I didn't know." "Emma, what are you talking about?" "She told me that you came from money. Real money. That your family had a trust fund set up for you that would only be released when you turned 30. Or got married to someone they approved of. She said your father had very specific expectations for your future, for the kind of woman you would marry, for the kind of life you would lead." Nathan's face had gone pale. "Emma, I never cared about any of that." "You know I didn't. Let me finish." Emma's voice hardened. "She said that I would ruin your life. That a pregnant girlfriend with no family money and no connections would destroy your career before it even started. That your father would cut you off completely if you chose me and a baby over medical school and the future they had planned." "That's not true. None of that is true." "She had a check, Nathan." Emma's voice broke. She pulled out a check for $50,000 and put it on the table between us. She said it was enough for me to start over somewhere new, to take care of the baby, to build a life without dragging you down. Nathan stood up so abruptly the coffee table rattled. No, she wouldn't. "Emma, my mother wouldn't do that." "She did." Emma stood too, facing him across the small room. "She told me that if I really loved you, I would let you go. That I would disappear and let you have the life you deserved. The life you had worked so hard for. Did you take it?" Nathan's voice was hollow. "The check. Did you take it?" "No." Emma wrapped her arms around herself. "I ripped it up and walked out. But the damage was done, Nathan." Everything she said kept playing in my head about how I would ruin your dreams. about how you would resent me eventually, about how a baby would trap you in a life you never wanted. Emma, I loved you. I wanted to marry you. We had plans. Plans that didn't include a baby. Emma's voice rose despite her efforts to stay calm. Plans that required both of us to finish school, to build careers, to be financially stable. And suddenly, I was pregnant and terrified, and your mother was telling me that the most loving thing I could do was disappear. So you believed her. Nathan's words were sharp, accusatory. You believed my mother over me. You believed that I would choose money and status over you and our child. I believed that you deserved better. Emma's voice cracked. I believed that a scared 22-year-old girl with a high school diploma and $50 in her bank account wasn't good enough for someone like you. Someone brilliant and ambitious and destined for greatness. That wasn't your choice to make. Nathan's voice dropped to a whisper, but it cut deeper than any shout. That was our child, Emma. Our son. And you took him away from me without even giving me a chance to choose? The silence that followed was suffocating. I know, Emma whispered. I know I did, and I've regretted it every single day for 6 years. But I was young and scared, and your mother was so convincing. She made me believe that loving you meant letting you go. Nathan turned away, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Do you have any idea what it was like? Waking up one day and finding you gone? No note, no explanation, just empty. I looked for you everywhere, Emma. I called every hospital, every clinic, every friend we had. I hired a private investigator. I spent months searching for you, trying to understand what I had done wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Emma's voice broke completely now, tears streaming down her face. It was me. All me. I was a coward, and I ran, and I convinced myself I was doing the right thing. Nathan spun back to face her, and the devastation on his face nearly brought her to her knees. You stole 5 years of my son's life from me. 5 years of first words and first steps and bedtime stories. 5 years of being his father. How do I forgive that, Emma? How do I forgive you for that? I don't know. Emma's voice was barely audible. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you should. Nathan stared at her for a long moment, his chest heaving with emotion. Then he said the words that changed everything. I need to talk to my mother.
Emma's blood ran cold.
Nathan, wait. Maybe we should think about this. Think about what? His voice was dangerous now, controlled rage barely leashed. About the fact that my mother bribed you to disappear? About the fact that she's been lying to me for 6 years? About the fact that I have a son I never knew existed because of her? Your mother thought she was protecting you. It had no right. Nathan grabbed his car keys from where he had set them on the side table. She had no right to make that choice for me. For us. How high me. Nathan, please. Don't do this tonight. Not like this. He stopped at the door, his hand on the knob, and looked back at her. Did you really think you could keep this secret forever, Emma? Did you really think the truth wouldn't come out? No, Emma admitted. I always knew this day would come. I just hoped I would be ready for it, are you? Ready for it? Emma looked toward the hallway where Jaime slept, unaware that his entire world was about to shift. I don't think anyone could be ready for this. Nathan nodded once, short and sharp. I'll be in touch about visitation. And Emma, don't even think about running again. Because if you take my son away from me one more time, I will find you. And I will use every resource I have to make sure I get custody. The threat hung in the air like smoke. I won't run, Emma promised, her voice shaking. Not this time. Nathan left without another word, the door closing behind him with a finality that made Emma's knees buckle. She sank onto the couch, buried her face in her hands, and finally let herself cry because she had just set something in motion that couldn't be stopped. Nathan was going to confront his mother, and when he learned the whole truth, when he discovered the part of the story Emma hadn't told him yet, everything would shatter beyond repair. The betrayal wasn't just what his mother had done 6 years ago. It was what Emma had discovered just last week. It was the reason. She had come back to Riverside after years of hiding. It was the secret that would destroy them. All, and Nathan was about to walk straight into it, Nathan's mother lived in the same sprawling estate where he had grown up. All white columns and manicured lawns that spoke of old money and older expectations. He pulled into the circular driveway at 8:30, his hands still shaking with rage. The housekeeper tried to stop him, but Nathan pushed past her and found his mother in her study, reading glasses perched on her nose. Papers spread across the mahogany desk. Nathan. Margaret Cross looked up, surprise flickering across her carefully maintained composure. "I wasn't expecting you this evening, Emma Rodriguez." Nathan's voice was cold, controlled. "Does that name mean anything to you?" His mother's face went carefully blank. "Nathan, perhaps we should discuss this when you're calmer."
Answer the question.
"Yes, I remember Emma. You dated her in college. It ended badly, as I recall. Ended because you paid her to disappear." Nathan crossed the room, bracing his hands on the desk. "You offered her money to leave me, to vanish without a word, and you never told me?" His mother's eyes narrowed. "I did what was necessary to protect your future. That girl was going to trap you, Nathan. She was going to derail everything you had worked for. She was pregnant with my child." The words exploded out of him. "Your grandson. And you drove her away." For the first time, genuine shock crossed Margaret's face. "Pregnant? Nathan, I didn't know." "She never said anything about a pregnancy. Because you convinced her she would ruin my life. You made her believe that the most loving thing she could do was disappear. And now, I have a 5-year-old son I've never held, never read a story to, never tucked into bed at night. Because of you." Margaret stood, her face pale, but her voice steady. "If she was pregnant and she chose not to tell you, that's her fault, not mine. I only told her the truth. That she came from nothing, that she would hold you back, that you deserved someone from your own world. She was my world." Nathan's voice broke. "She was everything to me. And you took her away. I saved you." His mother's voice rose for the first time. "I saved you from throwing away your future on some romantic fantasy? Look at you now. You're a successful doctor, respected in your field, financially secure. Would you have any of that if you had been tied down at 22 with a baby and a girl who could barely support herself?" Nathan stared at his mother, seeing her clearly for the first time in his life. "You're right. I might not have the career I have now. I might not have the money or the status. But I would have had Emma. I would have had my son. I would have had a family. You'll have a family, Nathan. The right kind of family. With the right kind of woman. The right kind." Nathan laughed, bitter and broken. "You mean someone you approve of? Someone with the right last name, and the right bank account, and the right pedigree. Someone who fits into your perfect picture of what my life should be. Someone worthy of you." Margaret moved around the desk, reaching for him, but Nathan stepped back. "Emma is worth 10 of anyone you would choose for me. And Jaime is my son. My son, mother, and you're going to have to accept that, because I'm going to be part of his life now. Whether you like it or not." "Nathan, please. Be reasonable. This woman kept your child from you for 5 years. She made you think she was dead or worse. How can you trust her again?" "I can't." The admission hurt to say. "I don't know if I can ever trust her again. But she's Jaime's mother, and whatever happened between us. Whatever you did to drive her away, I won't let you poison this too." Nathan turned toward the door, but his mother's voice stopped him. "There's something else you should know." Something in her tone made Nathan's blood run cold. "What?" Margaret hesitated, and for the first time in his life, Nathan saw fear in his mother's eyes. "Emma came to see me last week." Nathan froze. "What?" "She showed up here, unannounced. She said she needed to talk to me about something important." "About Jaime? Why didn't you tell me?" "Because of what she told me." Margaret's voice dropped. "Nathan, Jaime is sick." The world tilted. "What do you mean sick?" "Emma took him for his kindergarten physical exam last month. They found something in his blood work." "Something wrong?" "They did more tests, and the results came back positive for a rare genetic blood disorder." Nathan's medical training kicked in automatically. "What kind of disorder? What are the symptoms? What's the prognosis?" She didn't give me all the details, but she said he needs a bone marrow transplant. And soon, without it, he has less than 2 years. Nathan sank into the nearest chair, his legs suddenly unable to support him. 2 years. She said she came back to Riverside specifically to find you. Because you're the biological father, which means you're the best possible match for a donation. She needs you, Nathan. Not because she loves you or wants you in her life, because she needs you to save your son. Nathan's mind raced, processing, calculating, understanding, flooding through him in waves of horror and realization. That's why she came back. That's why she finally let me see him. His voice was hollow. Not because she wanted to make things right. Not because she felt guilty. Because Jaime is dying and she needs me to save him. Margaret nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Nathan. I'm sorry for what I did 6 years ago. But I'm also sorry that Emma is using you now. Using your love for a son you just met to manipulate you. Nathan stood abruptly. I need to go. Nathan. Wait. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. He headed for the door, then stopped. And Mother. Stay away from Emma. Stay away from Jaime. Whatever relationship we had before tonight, it's over. You made your choices 6 years ago. Now, live with the consequences. He left her standing in the study, her face pale and shocked, and drove through the dark streets of Riverside with his mind spinning. Emma had lied to him. Again. She hadn't come back to give him a relationship with his son. She had come back because she needed something from him. Something she couldn't get anywhere else. His bone marrow, his chance to save Jaime's life. But as Nathan pulled into Emma's driveway for the second time that night, as he sat in his car, trying to decide what to do, one thought crystallized above all the others. It didn't matter why Emma had come back. It didn't matter that she had lied, that she was using him, that every moment of their reunion had been built on manipulation and desperation. Because Jaime was his son, and Nathan would give anything, sacrifice everything, to save him, even if it meant forgiving the unforgivable, even if it meant loving a woman who had broken him twice. He got out of the car and walked to the door. This time, he didn't knock. The door was unlocked, and he stepped inside to find Emma sitting on the couch, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She looked up when she heard him, and the devastation on her face told him she already knew. Your mother told you? She whispered. Everything, then closed the door behind him. About Jaime being sick. About you coming back to find me because you need a bone marrow donor. About all of it. Nathan, I can explain. Can you? He crossed the room but didn't sit down. Can you explain why you didn't tell me the truth from the beginning? Why you let me think you came back because you wanted me in Jaime's life, when really you just need me to save him? I do want you in his life. Emma stood, reaching for him, but he stepped back. Nathan, please. I know how this looks, but it's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, Emma. Tell me the truth for once. I found out about the blood disorder 5 weeks ago. Emma's voice shook. They did the kindergarten screening, and something came back abnormal. More tests, more waiting, more terror, and then the diagnosis. Myelodysplastic syndrome. Rare, aggressive, and without a bone marrow transplant, fatal. Nathan's medical mind clicked through the information automatically. MDs in a 5-year-old. That's incredibly rare. The doctor said his best chance is a transplant from a biological parent. So I had myself tested first. I thought maybe I would match and I wouldn't have to find you. I wouldn't have to tell you about Jaime. I wouldn't have to open up all these old wounds. But you didn't match. No, tears streamed down Emma's face. I didn't match. And suddenly, I had to choose between protecting myself, protecting my secrets, protecting the life I had built, or saving my son. And Nathan, there was no choice. There's never been a choice. I would do anything, sacrifice anything to save Jaime. Even use me, yes. The word came out as a sob. Even use you. Even lie to you. Even break your heart again. Because he's dying, Nathan. My little boy is dying, and you're the only one who can save him. Nathan stood silent, processing feeling. The anger was still there, hot and sharp, but beneath it, something else. Something that felt like understanding. "When do we do the testing?" he asked finally. Emma's head snapped up. "What? When do we test to see if I'm a match? How soon can we schedule the procedure if I am?" "Nathan, you don't have to do this. I know I've lied to you, I know I've hurt you, and I wouldn't blame you if you walked away." He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides and gripped her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "He's my son, Emma. Whatever you've done, whatever lies you've told, he's my son, and I will do everything in my power to save him. Do you understand me?" Emma nodded, unable to speak through her tears. "But after this is over, after Jaime is healthy and safe, we're going to have a very long conversation about trust and honesty and what happens next. Because I can't keep doing this, Emma. I can't keep losing you. I can't keep wondering if you're going to disappear again." "I won't," Emma promised. "Nathan, I swear to you, I won't run again. We'll see." He released her shoulders and stepped back. "Right now, all that matters is Jaime. Call the hospital in the morning. Get me scheduled for compatibility testing. And Emma? Yes. I'm going to meet my son properly tomorrow. Not as his doctor. As his father, and you're going to help me figure out how to tell him the truth." Emma nodded through her tears. Okay, yes. Whatever you need." Nathan left without another word, driving home through streets that blurred with exhaustion and emotion. He had a son. That son was dying, and the woman he had never stopped loving had lied to him about everything, but none of that mattered as much as one simple truth. He was going to save Jaime's life, even if it destroyed his own in the process. Even if it meant giving Emma one more chance to break his heart, because that's what love was. Sacrifice always. Sacrifice. 3 months later, Nathan sat in a hospital room that had become more familiar than his own bedroom, watching Jaime sleep. The boy's face was pale, thinner than it had been, but peaceful. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm, measuring heartbeats and oxygen levels. And all the small miracles that meant his son was alive, still fighting the bone marrow. Transplant had been successful. Nathan had been a perfect match, and the procedure had gone smoothly. But the recovery had been brutal. Weeks of isolation, of medications that made Jaime sick, of watching his son suffer and being unable to take the pain away. But they were through the worst of it now. The doctors were optimistic. The new marrow was grafting well, producing healthy blood cells, giving Jaime a future he almost hadn't had. He hadn't left his side in 3 days. Nathan looked up to find Emma standing in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a messy knot. But to Nathan, she had never been more beautiful. "Someone needs to be here when he wakes up," Nathan said. Accepting the coffee she offered, Emma sank into the chair beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "Thank you. For everything. For the donation. For being here. For learning how to be his father in the middle of all this chaos. You don't need to thank me. He's my son." "I know. But still," Emma wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "Nathan, I need to say something. Something I should have said a long time ago, Emma. You don't have to do this now." "Yes, I do." She turned to face him, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, completely sorry for what I did 6 years ago. For believing your mother's lies. For not trusting you enough to tell you about the pregnancy. For keeping Jaime from you all these years. I was scared and young and stupid, and I made the wrong choice. And you and Jaime paid the price for my cowardice." Nathan was quiet for a long moment, staring at their son. "Do you know what the worst part was? Not that you left. Not even that you kept Jaime from me. It was thinking that you didn't love me. That everything we had meant nothing to you." "It meant everything," Emma whispered. "You meant everything. That's why your mother's words hurt so much. Because part of me believed them. Part of me thought I wasn't good enough for you. You were always good enough, Emma. More than good enough. You were perfect. I wasn't. Emma's voice cracked. I was broken and damaged from a childhood you knew nothing about. From parents who told me every day that I would never amount to anything. Your mother's words just confirmed everything I already believed about myself. Nathan finally looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the vulnerable girl he had fallen in love with all those years ago. The girl who had hidden her pain behind a bright smile and fierce independence. Tell me, he said quietly. Tell me about the parts of you I never knew. So Emma told him. About growing up poor, with a father who drank, and a mother who worked 3 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet. About never feeling like she belonged anywhere, never feeling worthy of love or success or happiness. About meeting Nathan and thinking he was too good to be true. That eventually he would realize what everyone else had always seen. That she was nothing special. When your mother offered me that money. It wasn't really about the check, Emma said. It was about someone finally saying out loud what I had always suspected. That I didn't deserve you. That I would only drag you down. That the best thing I could do for you was disappear. Nathan reached over and took her hand. I wish you had told me all of this back then. I was too ashamed. Too proud. Too scared that if you knew how broken I was, you would leave me anyway. I would never have left you, Emma. Never. I know that now. Emma squeezed his hand. But 6 years ago, I couldn't see it. All I could see was your bright future and my dark past, and I couldn't figure out how to make them fit together. Jaime stirred in his sleep, making a small sound, and both parents immediately focused on him. But he settled again, his breathing deep and even. He's amazing, Nathan said softly. Every day, I discover something new about him. The way he laughs. The way he asks a million questions. The way he's so brave even when he's scared. He gets that from you, Emma said. And from you? He has your strength, Emma. Your determination. Your huge heart. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, hands still linked, watching their son sleep. What happens now? Emma asked finally. After Jaime gets better, after all of this is over. Nathan didn't answer right away. He'd been asking himself the same question for weeks. What did he want? What did Emma want? What was best for Jaime? I don't know, he admitted. I know I want to be part of Jaime's life. Really part of it? Not just weekend visits or every other holiday. I want to be his father in every sense of the word. I want that too, Emma said quickly. Nathan, I want you in his life. In our lives, even after everything. Especially after everything. Emma turned in her chair to face him fully. These past 3 months, watching you with Jaime, seeing how much you love him, how patient you are, how you never gave up even when things looked hopeless. I remembered why I fell in love with you in the first place. Nathan's heart stuttered. Emma, I know I have no right to ask for another chance. I know I hurt you too badly, lied too many times. But Nathan, I never stopped loving you. Not once in 6 years. And if there's any possibility, any small chance that you could forgive me, that we could try again, I want to take it. Nathan looked at her. At this woman who had broken his heart and given him a son, who had lied to him and trusted him with her deepest truths. He thought about forgiveness and second chances and the messy, complicated reality of love. I don't know if I can forget what happened, he said honestly. I don't know if I can ever completely trust you again the way I did before. Emma's face fell, but she nodded. I understand. But, Nathan continued, squeezing her hand, I think I can learn to trust you again. I think we can build something new. Not what we had before, but something better. Something stronger. Something built on truth instead of secrets. Really? Hope bloomed in Emma's eyes.
Really?
But Emma, it's going to take time. And it's going to take honesty. Complete honesty. No more secrets, no more lies, no more running away when things get hard. I promise, Emma said fiercely. Nathan, I swear to you, no more secrets. No more running. Whatever happens, we face it together. Together, Nathan agreed. Jaime's eyes fluttered open. He looked around groggily, then focused on his parents sitting side by side, holding hands, and a sleepy smile spread across his face. "Daddy," he said, the words still new and wonderful. "You're still here. Course I'm here, buddy. I'm not going anywhere, and Mommy too." "I'm here too, baby," Emma said, moving to the other side of the bed. Jaime looked between them, his smile growing. "Are you guys going to get married?" Emma and Nathan exchanged glances over their son's head, surprised and amused by the direct question. "Maybe someday," Nathan said carefully. "But first, we need to focus on getting you all better." "I'm already better," Jaime announced with the confidence of childhood. "The doctor said my numbers are good. That means the new bone marrow is working, right?" "Right," Nathan confirmed, his throat tight with emotion. "You're doing great, Superman. So if I'm better, you guys can get married and we can be a real family." Emma laughed, tears streaming down her face. "We're already a real family, sweetheart. Marriage or not, we're a family. But I want us to be together all the time," Jaime insisted. "Like Tommy's mom and dad. They live in the same house and everything." Nathan looked at Emma over their son's head. She raised her eyebrows in question, and he found himself nodding slowly. "How about this?" Nathan suggested. "When you get out of the hospital, how would you like to come stay at my place for a while? It's bigger than your mom's apartment, and I have a yard where you can play once you're strong enough. Would Mommy come too?" Jaime asked. "If she wants to," Nathan said, looking directly at Emma. Emma's eyes widened. "Nathan, are you sure?" "No," he admitted, "but I think it's time we stopped being sure and started taking chances. What do you say?" Emma looked at her son, then at Nathan, then back at Jaime. She thought about 6 years of running, of hiding, of building walls to keep herself safe. And she thought about tearing those walls down. "Yes," she said, her voice strong and certain. "Yes, let's take the chance." Jaime cheered, his energy returning despite his exhaustion. "This is the best day ever." "The best day ever would be when you get to go home," Nathan corrected, ruffling his son's hair gently. "But this is pretty good too." 2 months later, Jaime was officially in remission. The doctors were amazed by his recovery, calling it a textbook case of successful transplant and grafting. He had gained back the weight he had lost. His energy had returned, and his latest blood work showed strong. Healthy cells multiplying exactly as they should. Emma and Nathan stood in the backyard of Nathan's house, watching Jaime play with a soccer ball, his movements still a little cautious, but growing more confident every day. "I can't believe how far we've come," Emma said. Leaning into Nathan's side, he wrapped his arm around her waist. "From strangers in an emergency room to this, it's been quite a journey. Do you regret any of it?" Nathan thought about the question seriously. "I regret the years I missed. I regret the pain we caused each other. But I don't regret where we ended up. Everything that happened brought us here to this moment, and I wouldn't change that for anything." Emma turned in his arms to face him. "I love you, Nathan Cross. I loved you 6 years ago, and I love you now, and I'll love you for the rest of my life." "I love you too, Emma Rodriguez. And I have something for you." Nathan pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and Emma's breath caught. "Nathan, you don't have to do this just because Jaime wants us to get married. We can take our time." "I'm not doing this for Jaime," Nathan said, opening the box to reveal a simple but beautiful diamond ring. "I'm doing this for us, because I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Because I want to build a future together, with all its missinses and complications and imperfections. Because I choose you, Emma. I choose us." Emma's hand shook as she held out her left hand. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger, and in the background, Jaime whooped with joy, having noticed what was happening. "You guys are getting married?" He ran toward them, throwing his arms around both his parents. "I told you it would happen." They stood there in the golden afternoon light, the three of them wrapped in an embrace that felt like coming home. Emma looked at Nathan over Jaime's head, and he looked back at her with eyes full of love and promise and hope. 6 years ago, they had been torn apart by fear and lies and secrets, but they had found their way back to each other, not because it was easy, not because there had been no pain, but because some loves were worth fighting for. Some loves were. Worth the sacrifice. Some loves were worth everything, and as Jaime laughed between them, healthy and whole and loved beyond measure, Emma finally understood what she had been running from all those years ago. Not Nathan's love, but her own worthiness to receive it. She had been enough all along. She just hadn't been able to see it, but she saw it now, in Nathan's eyes, in Jaime's smile, in the family they had built from broken pieces and second chances. She saw it now, and she would never forget it again. The end.